that's right. All right, let's welcome our panelist, Neeti Dewan, please. Very credential. Oh my God, a woman in pink. I love it. All right. So Neeti and I have known each other for a couple of years now. So Neeti is CEO and board chair of Platinum AdvantEdge and president of Thai Atlanta. Y'all, who is part of Thai? Yes. It is such an amazing organization. I'm a member too, so proud member of Thai. Yeah. So she brings decades of leadership across finance, tax, and corporate transformation with a strong track record of helping organizations scale through financial discipline and strategic clarity. All right, let's have a seat. Let's have a great conversation. All right, let's level set first, right? Let's see. First things first, right? So when people hear joining a board, right? They often picture prestige, but not necessarily actual work. Y'all, it's work to serve on a board, right? Many of you have raised your hands, you know it's work, right? So what does the board really do? Let's get into the nitty gritty of it. And how does that differ between for-profit, private company, and nonprofit boards?
So, a great point, everyone. How many of you heard of a company called Enron? Anybody?
Yeah,
all right. So,
all of us.
it is 2002. I was working for Arthur Andersen at the time. And I think all of you know what happened to Enron, right? What basically came down to is that the board, they've been appointed, did not do their fiduciary responsibility, as you mentioned. Throughout the board, they had conflicts of interest. They were seeing the red flags of so many things that were going wrong, right? I come from a finance background, audit background, so there were things that were not on the balance sheet that should have been on the balance sheet, certain liabilities, or they had board members who were conflicted out. They had lines of credit that were approved by Enron or underwritten by Enron. You cannot do that. So going back to kind of what my fellow panelists said, the due diligence, that fiduciary responsibility that you have for the company that you're serving on, that responsibility is to the shareholders of the business, period. That's who you are reporting into. That's whom you're doing the work for. So we all have to remember that when you're working and serving on a board, especially a public board or a private company, for-profit board, or non-profit, actually, it does apply all across, right? We have to stay independent. We have to take our fiduciary responsibility extremely seriously. And I'm going to go back to your question as well, Neha. You mentioned that what type of work does it take? So when I served on for-profit boards, it was minimum of 4 board meetings each year, and you're expected to fly in from wherever you are on your own time, and they'll reimburse you. But you have to make the time for your travel. And it took between 20 to 30 hours a month to prepare. And the packages that you get before those board meetings could be massive, and you can't just scan it. It is, again, going back to that fiduciary responsibility, you take it very, very seriously. That you do review everything that's in there so you can get that big picture. As you mentioned, you can see the big puzzle. You don't have to work on the pieces, but you need to understand the big picture.
In simple terms, what does strong governance actually look like, especially in fast-moving spaces like AI?
I have Neeti's triple N. Okay, that's sort of when I think about AI and technology and how fast things are changing. I focus on 3 things. One is, what is it that you should be focusing on now, right? That's number 1, now. What are the technologies from an AI perspective for your business that you should know about? Second is, what's coming up next? You've got to keep your eye on that, right? So you cannot just be focused on today, but as a board member, you got to be focused on what's coming down the road, right? It's like when you're driving, and you got to know sort of where you're going. And number 3 is, you've got the now, you've got the next, And then, most important is the new. What is out there that you do not know about, right? As board members, it's our responsibility to keep an eye out for what's new. Because sometimes the blockbusters of the world are gone. Why? Because Netflix comes in, right? And similarly, we are seeing that great equalizer from AI where 1%, 2%, 10% companies are going to be unicorns. And if we do not keep an eye on the ball of what's coming next and the new, you're going to get left behind.
So good. Okay, so we've covered the basics, right? This is all about, how board service, what does it mean when you serve on the board? Let me show you again who has served on a board before. Okay, awesome. Now, who wants to serve on a board? Good, a lot of you. Okay, great. So let's get into it, right? Let's talk about what we really want to know. What does it take to get a board seat? Like, what do you really need to get on a leadership board? Is it networking? Is it visibility? Is it just, timing? Or is it really something else? So, Neeti, kick us off with this. What does it really take to get a board seat?
A great question. So, I'll give an example, right? So, I love to look back. So, 2001, right? Obviously, again, with my finance background, I was at a networking event and I'm talking to the CEO of a company in Los Angeles. It was a technology company. There were all the entertainment companies like Disney and Universal, all of those were their clients. And so I started talking to them and asking about, exactly what's your vision? What are you doing from this side, that side, on the finance and what's going on? And I started just kind of sharing a little bit with him. And I said, can we do a follow-up meeting? And that's all it took. And a couple of meetings later, I was on my first for-profit board. Simple as that. But again, I love acronyms, okay? Are you ready for this? So, prime. You got to prime yourself up, all right? P is for getting ready, prepping your resume. Right? And a board resume looks very different from a job resume. And a job resume is where you talk about how you put the pieces of the puzzle together, right? And a board resume is a little different. You talk about how that should come about. And it's about us and how you work on projects together. It's not about me. A resume is about I have done X, Y, and Z. That's a big difference. R of the prime. R is for relationships. At the end of the day, I can tell you every single board position that I've gotten has been through relationships, right? So build those relationships, reach out to people. When I got onto the Harvard University's board, it was through a relationship I had. When I got onto my first nonprofit board, it was through a relationship I had. Right? I currently serve on the Cal State University the business school board. Again, through relationships. So again, I'm emphasizing that of the prime word, R is the most important. I is you gotta focus on the I. What are you good at? What are the expertise that you bring to the table? Right? Focus on that and take that to the table. Because you can't be generic. If you can be I'm a good leader, yes, maybe you have the AI expertise. Maybe you have the social media expertise. Maybe you're a finance guru. Maybe you know how SEC works. Maybe you have a legal background, right? Could be anything. Where was I? BRIN. M is mentorship. Look for mentors. There's plenty of people who serve on boards who can help guide you, right? And BRI, no, BRI is, I need a glass of wine. It's all right. Yeah.
Bring the W in front.
Yeah. Yeah. BRIME. E is basically, you've got to keep an eye on the ball. That's what you want. You got to be focused on it. If you have to go out and get it. Kind of what Preeti said. She's got a vision. She's going to make it happen. Whether you're ready or not, you just go do it. Same thing. Keep an eye on the ball and go get it done. That's such a wonderful comment. So, I'm gonna tell you something, especially for the women in the room, okay? Is a lot of us women are shy about talking about our accomplishments. Why? Why? If you already accomplished something, you better take credit for it, girl. Because if you don't, what are we telling the rest of the women around us, the young girls who are coming behind us? They need to know what you're doing, and unless you talk about what you've accomplished, they don't know what you've accomplished. They don't know who to look up to, right? So one, learn how to boast. You gotta learn how to boast about yourself. Come up with a 30-second elevator pitch in terms of who you are, what you want to accomplish, what you are trying to get, the type of board that you're trying to get onto, and that special expertise, the deep T, what is that? Okay, so number one, boast. Learn to do that. It will feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but we gotta learn how to do that, all right? Number two is when you're in rooms where people are talking about board service or making connections, you need to toast other women. You need to talk boldly about them, right? We have to toast each other. There's my wine. I'm going to toast you. So, and the last one is, and this is really close to my heart. It never used to be, but as I've grown older, I also, you learn you really don't give a damn what people think, and so you learn to be free. And the third one, and most important, is roast. If you see other women who aren't helping other women, and they have the capability to do that, you learn to roast them.
I love that.
Yeah. You help them. And if you hear somebody talking, backing out somebody when they shouldn't, you put them in their place immediately. You nip it in the butt, because that is not something us sisters ever want to do to other women in the room, right? So remember the three rules. What's the first one?
Boast.
Boast. Number two?
Boast.
Boast. Number three? Boast. Very good. But let's give these people a wonderful round.
I had learned a lot, but all I want to say is that after 3 years and Prime, there is only one abbreviation comes to my mind. Great. All right. Thank you very much.